the truth of the matter, and you said it so well, Dr. Vibe, there are countless Black, African/Caribbean students, international students who are here in our cities who are struggling.
It's hard to know because we don't have like the data to say what is the state of Black health before and after. And that's something that we've been advocating for, right? We need better race-based data that's done in a way that serves us, because race-based data has been collected on different groups in ways that actually cause harm, but we need it to be done with us in a way that serves us.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner and 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers, that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care, and being part of that team since 2020. Our team has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. As always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we are broadcasting live on December 15th. Less than 10 days to those people who celebrate Christmas. That's when it hits. Happy Kwanzaa also to those who celebrate that. And if you do celebrate at that time of the year, happy. We are broadcasting Black Canada Talking, where Black Canadians give their takes, POVs, and insights on local, provincial, national, international conversations. So what I like to do is bring up my esteemed colleague, Cesar Ndema-Moussa. What is up, Cesar?
Hi, Dr. Vibe. Thanks for having me. We good here. You can appreciate my new winter hat, Mobutu style, for those who understand, with cheetah prints and everything. Beautiful gift. So, no, we good. Thank you.
How is family keeping?
Our family is good. We got a new expression that I learned. So, my daughter's 3 years old, and I was told an expression called, she's a tree-nager. Not a teenager, tree-nager.
Oh, what?
Because they sometimes have those tantrums and character development phase, right? So, indeed. No, we good. Thank you so much. Thanks for asking.
This is good. Have you been doing any EDI work since we last got together?
Always, every week. I can say 2 weeks ago in an agency-wide conversations regarding the cost of life and the incoming holidays was very, very well attended, great participation. And as we come back in January, and I think it's a topic we can also address in January, we will talk about mental health, winter depression, but also suicide, domestic violence, etc., that increase in the winter season, and notably the impact it has on Black people, notably regarding mental. So just to give you an idea of some of the conversations. And also, I've been addressing a lot the topic of psychological safety, not only in terms of academic presentations, but also activities, group activities, excellent reception, and public servants have been asking for more education, more addressing it.
Nice.
Really daring to be addressing the discomfort of those topics in order to really address organizational culture and create, I don't speak of safe spaces, I speak of safer spaces. So, yeah.
No, I received that. That's fantastic. And I was at an event during the past week, and it was a connection / networking event, and there was a number of representatives in the room who do DEI. And also, I had a presenter, there was a presenter there talking about neurodivergent employees. Fascinating conversation.
Conversations we aren't having enough, and yet it's like air. It's all around us, even if we don't see it.
Yeah, it was really, and I have a number of conversations with a number of the individuals. For some reason, they want to reach out to me after. I don't know. I just showed up, but I thought about you in that being in that room was very nice. Actually, they had the same conversation with their Montreal chapter the day after. So if they do that again, I'll certainly see if you'll be interested in attending these things. A lot of interesting people from a lot of different backgrounds in the room, and I know it's an environment that you would thrive in.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
would thrive in. So we have a choice of things because we have a special friend coming on, and I don't know how long he'll be available for. Because I could say we could go to a commercial, bring him on, and fill up the rest of the show, or we can chat a little bit and then take a commercial and then have him come on. What do you think?
Hey, let's start our conversation. Notably, regarding, I think we were talking about international students'
Yes.
impact in Canada, and we can take a break
Yeah.
and bring my friend, his name is Kevin Friday, to talk about the murder of that health insurance CEO in New York. Because, I mean, I will let him introduce himself in regards to the topic. I think, brother, for this type of political and social conversations. And hopefully we have time because, I'd like to bring the attention of image and content in the Black community.
Okay. Well, let's talk about and this is something I've heard about high level in the news, but it was really brought to my attention this week. So I get the opportunity to work with co-op intern students throughout the year. And one of the colleges that I work with, the administrator called me the other day and we were just chatting. And then he told me about this situation. Well, I'll just say Sheridan College. I'll just put it out there. And he's saying, yeah, because of the cutback on international students, they like one of which Sheridan College, 40 programs have been suspended due to the drop in revenue. Now, I don't know if this is just an Ontario thing, or if this is a countrywide thing. I sort of got taken on going, wow. And when I was saying to Cesar, another college in the Greater Toronto area, Seneca College, has temporarily closed one of its campuses because of this impact. That's crazy. What do you have to say on that, man?
Well, basically, something we have to remember is this. The school system is basically being quite capitalist. And as such, one of the things that happened is money is the name of the game. So when you're having situations in which we literally went since COVID from a Canadian society that was putting a lot of blame, if not the main blame, for rising and exorbitant housing prices on international students, and it got debunked, but then it creates a paranoia. And of course, in a smaller world, people start to hear about it and they're like, Canada is no longer a welcoming country. So now you're having a shorter number of international students registering, because one of the things a lot of people may not realize, international students pay a lot more than Canadian students to attend school in Canada. And I'm saying a lot more. I'm not saying that they pay, I'm not saying they pay 10% more or even 50% more. It can easily be 2 to 3 times what a Canadian student pays. So it becomes big money. I don't want to use the word scam or those type of words. It's business deals and business practices that basically now are hurting Canadian education institutions. And you're talking here about notably Sheridan College, but to give you an example, because it's even bigger than a matter of international students per se, it's part of a bigger geopolitical conversations. Let me just get that out of the way. The tense conversations the tense relations that, for example, Canada is having with China is creating an impact where, example, some aviation schools and even programs in university, such as in London or Moncton, are having to close because of notably Chinese students no longer wanting to come to Canada. But you look at another example about how In France, tense relations with some Western African countries, notably of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, is creating a shortage of African students going to France for international studies, which also means those institutions are losing money. So it's in a global village that's getting smaller and smaller beyond the internet, and in which you know who's in power. Like, let's look at it the other way around. 45/47, as you call him, aka Orange Man, aka Trump, coming back to power, is leading to some Americans moving out of the country, coming into Canada, and it is expected that in certain places, notably close, there will be a rise of home prices because people with a higher money power will be moving in. So it's all part of a larger conversation that's very much geopolitical, but also social, and ultimately will get hurt. Well, if you have a shortage of those students, basic economics would imply that you would have to raise student fees for those who are here.
The whole area of education as a business circles around this. Like, we know it is cheaper to go to post-secondary institutions in this country compared to the United States, but the ripple effect will be layoffs of staff. So this whole and again, I don't know that environment enough. I'd be curious to know what percentage of students who are international students stay in this country after they graduate. Because if a large number of them up until now stay in this country and leave, that means brain drain. And we're always hearing about the lack of labor in this country. Is this going to just make this situation more critical?
Absolutely, it would make it more critical, because one of the things that we have to take into consideration, it's not just the fact that as a source of labor, those international students basically gain so-called Canadian knowledge, but if you don't have them staying, they're basically exporting that Canadian knowledge. So it's basically two situations here. You basically have African students, but even professionals will leave Africa, creating a brain drain for a population that's increasing, and they're coming here to benefit the people in Canada. You saw this very well, notably with the COVID pandemics, in which nations such as Quebec were getting these international nurses coming from countries that already lack nurses and doctors. But at the same time, we go back about starting 50 years ago, the development of China. So China, for those who are aware, it's a government of technocrats and engineers. Basically, they got the education. Many of the elites in China, not just in China, we can even look at nations such as Egypt or Israel, where many of the elites got the education in the US, in France, in Germany, in Canada, and they went back to run the country. But now you're having a lot of people who are coming in Western nations and staying. I'm saying this until this year because there is a growth of political extremism that is basically making it that a lot of people, and notably in Canada, they're not seeing Canada no longer as the paradise of the postcard that it claims to be about. So they're either going back to the country to develop, or they're going to other Western countries that seem to be more inviting. Another thing we have to remember is that the conversation of foreign students, as I already said, tends to be geopolitical, but it also tends to impact relations between certain countries. So, example, in Canada, we can easily think about with China, such as regarding the Lady Princess of Huawei, or with India in regard to the Sikh community militants for Khalistan, aka the Sikh independent state. And what it creates is that it creates an impact on international students coming to Canada, choosing to stay in Canada, or going back to other nations that seem to be more welcoming to their identities.
All right. Well, we're going to cut it there. We're certainly going to continue this topic as it goes on because there's going to be an impact, and I'm sure we're going to hear more about it, but you'll hear a unique lens on this platform. So,
one last thing though. We are now in December 2015. We are December 2024. We just got to look in about 10 months from now, 9 to 10 months from now, when there will be the federal election. What will be the positions of people's, Mr. Poilievre, Mr. Trudeau, and Mr. Singh in regards to not so much international students, but in regards to those countries where those international students come from? What kind of message will be sent to those countries for those families to feel like the children, young men and young women, will be coming to a welcoming country? Or will we be in a society now that is more xenophobic, aka anti-China, anti-India, anti-Black? Because a lot of those international students we tend to not talk about, they come from Nigeria, they come from Ghana.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah,
Cameroon, they come from all countries, but also Caribbean countries, and they are enriching us here.
Yeah. All right. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to have a conversation with a friend of Cesar's about the killing of the insurance UnitedHealthcare insurance CEO, Brian Thomas. So we'll be back in just a moment. So keep it locked on Black Canada Talking. We'll have you in just a second.
Wow. What an awesome discussion and interview with Dr. Vibe. You can see why he's so successful, has so many awards, has so many accolades. Dr. Vibe listens so well to the person he's interviewing, and he loves bringing out their story to share with his audience. My name is Ramon Ray, founder of SmartHustle.com, and I just had a great experience sharing with Dr. Vibe and his audience about my journey, and I want to say a big thanks to Dr. Vibe, big thanks to your community, Dr. Vibe, because clearly you love what you do, and you're a shining beacon for us all to focus on entrepreneurship, be better fathers, grow our families, and live and have great businesses. So thank you so much. I can't wait to work with you again. You're an amazing, amazing interviewer and first-class professional. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramon Ray. Always. Before we get our friend up for today, just a little highlights here. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. If you haven't done that, if you're up to it, please subscribe and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm on. Feel free to email me, dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. Don't forget also, support my good comrade, as Cesar's wearing a comrade hat, Dr. Tachi, who's based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, runs a great platform for independent content creators called Indie Soup Media, about 20 to 30 independent content creators on there, and has over 20,000 YouTube subscribers in the first 9 months of the platform. So please support. And as always, if you want to touch base with Cesar, there you go. Email president@rootsandculturecanada.com and facebook.com/Cesar Remy Emery. So it's your time now, Cesar, your time. So tell us who we got on today to talk about this very interesting subject.
Has he joined the link? Is he in yet?
He is here. He's ready for you to introduce him.
We can bring him on.
Okay, there he goes.
Hello, guys. Could you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you for having me on. My name is Kevin Friday. I've been in the insurance industry for roughly 22 years as an insurance broker focusing on auto and property products. I currently sell auto and property insurance products as well. I have dabbled in politics in the past. I ran for the Conservatives 20 years ago, federally, and I've dabbled in many different community initiatives within the Black community and beyond for many years, along with my father as well, who was also very active in the Black community. So I've been a friend of Cesar for many years, 25 years plus, and we were having a conversation about what recently happened in the United States regarding health insurance. I'm not in that field. I am in auto property insurance, but I'm always happy to have a conversation of my own opinion about what I saw and the political impacts of it. Um, just to give you from the auto property perspective, when we think of claims and when we think of why people get denied, it's usually some type of a breach. It could be a breach of policy conditions. They lied in an application. They didn't disclose certain important details. On the property side, often claims are denied because the type of claim that they're seeking indemnification for is not a true claim. In other words, what insurance companies and property and auto consider legitimate is sudden and accidental, meaning an act of nature, act of God, quote unquote, a storm, windstorm, tornado, a fire. It was accidental and it burnt down the place. But it is not a maintenance policy. A lot of people don't know this. So we need to make the distinction between how insurance companies in Canada are regulated. They're regulated on the premise that they are covering sudden accidental and not anything that deals with wear and tear or maintenance, whether it's your car or your home. As for what I see going on in the United States, um, some big differences. Obviously, we have
Hold on,
publicly funded.
Kevin. Hold on, Kevin. Just take a quick moment.
Yeah.
You just introduce yourself. Let Dr. Vibe welcome you into the show. As I told
Oh,
you, Dr.
No,
Vibe.
no, no. I welcome and really good to have you here. I didn't want to. You're on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt. You're on a roll, but
okay.
I do want to ask, how does now again? You're in auto, and this since in the U.S. is based on life. But what are
Oh.
some of the differences on how are there differences on how insurance is handled in this country compared to the United States?
One that I could speak of is the obvious that we all know, which is universal healthcare. Its impact on, let's say, I mean, the way it interacts with auto insurance, like if you're injured, for example, um, our plan is very much a standardized plan, meaning that the Canadian healthcare system assumes that you have an urgent need for care for, we would call it primary care, right? You need surgery, you need medical attention to diagnose you and whatnot. But there are other forms of care that go beyond, I need a doctor right away. There's long-term injuries that could happen as a result of being in a collision. That's where the government forces the insurance companies to provide extra coverage for certain things. A minimum amount of income replacement. It's very minimal though. So many people fall short when they find out it's minimal. A very minimal amount of coverage for things like certain kinds of accident benefits like rehabilitation, if you need it, if you need extra medical care for things like physio or rehab, there's a minimal amount of care that's given. So it is supplemental to our universal healthcare system. What I noticed in my years of dealing with insurance, we were always told that when people drive to the United States, they need to be extra careful of how much liability they carry because what we require or what insurance companies will sell in Canada may be different than in the United States. In the United States, they have different laws in every state. Their threshold for what's considered the right standard of coverage may be lower than ours, right? It's they have a lot more variety in terms of the type of companies they have. So their system, I understand, with Obamacare, and I was just reading an article about this um, just now. Apparently, what happened with Obamacare, the big fight in the United States was over pre-existing conditions. But what the American system has done, because they don't have a single payer system to provide coverage for the uninsured, they opted for, this was Obama's campaign, a kind of forced insurance plan that um, it takes the place of what we have, which is a single payer system, and allows the existing insurance framework to continue by private insurance companies. They still run it. They're just forced to provide coverage now, and they're subsidized as a result. But it's still profit driven. And it seems to me, I'm not an expert in health insurance, but it seems to me the metrics by which they make profit is very different. For one thing, what I was just reading is that they don't have, it doesn't seem like, I haven't done enough to say definitively, but it doesn't seem like they have a universal standard of a threshold of care or what can be considered deniable, right? What are insurance companies allowed to deny as far as health? There's thousands of codes, and they vary from different companies in the United States. So oftentimes it's not, it may not be that the company is deliberately just saying no. It may be one of those situations where you have, if you could imagine a series of boxes and employees are instructed to fit people in them. And if you don't fit in them, then there isn't the coverage because you didn't buy the right package with the right set of boxes for your condition. You also have to consider there are rare diseases. Well, where does that fit in? Somebody has a rare disease and it doesn't fit in the box. That could be what's happening in some of these cases. There's rumors going on in the internet about this man who did the murder, and I haven't verified this, but they're saying it was a family member that got ill and he's avenging that because there was some type of rare condition that wasn't properly covered. And there's a lot we don't know. We don't know if there was any attempt to sell the right package. We don't know if the right level of packages are available for people. Are people being offered various supplements to their standard plan? Like there's a lot of unknowns, right? I know that in auto insurance, when you're dealing with coverage that pertains specifically to your injury as a result of a collision, there are buy-up options, right? So you have the option to buy up and also compare to whatever employer plan you may have, because our plan is supplemental to those plans. So there's a lot of unknowns. It's a bit, I see this is a very emotional issue. A lot of people are reacting emotionally to it. And what they're reacting to is this winner versus loser dynamic that we have in capitalism, which is that you have the winners that take all and losers that fall through the cracks. And people are angry with that because they see it as inherently unfair. And I don't know how you get around this. I don't know how you get around the issue of profit is all about finding ways to navigate boxes and price them at a rate that doesn't bankrupt the insurance company. On the same time, there's the real need for people to have care because they cannot financially afford it. Then you have to ask the question, why are procedures so expensive? What about the responsibility of those providing the procedures and what they charge? How do you deal with that? And then there's the final issue of, well, if we can't resolve all of the profit motive, then you need a single payer. Well, only the federal or state governments can do that. But people didn't vote for Bernie Sanders. So here we
Cesar,
Yeah.
you wanna add to the conversation? Thank you for a very thorough overview of some of the insurance landscape. Cesar?
Well, what I would say, basically three things here regarding this story. One, it further speaks to the demise of, in an age where rage is growing, in an age where Orange Man, Trump, 45, 47, whichever you want to call him, comes to power. Uh, what is the role model that's being portrayed to society? And as such, it basically leads to, of course, CEOs tend to be easily portrayed as villains in a society in which you're having a man who is a billionaire,
Mhm.
along other billionaires, including the richest person in the world. Elon Musk's fortune has now reached 400 billions, literally telling, aka lying to Americans and the world, truly, that it's the, how do you call that? The deep state, the system that's the problem, as if they didn't become billionaires by the system. And this crisis of trust into the institutions basically translates into the creation of falsely looking at those who have succeeded. Because this CEO, Brian Thomas, we can disagree, we can have different opinions, but from what I've heard, from what I read, he came from humble beginnings to reach the place where he was at, and he was murdered. We could actually say assassinated, because technically it was a political act for him to kill this person. He didn't just kill a person for political slash social views regarding him being a CEO, even though he wasn't even a customer, from what has been said, of United Healthcare. But then it also brings a third level of conversation, which is in regards to who the assassin, the Robin Hood like person of Luigi Mangione is, for many people who are celebrating uh, uh, what he did, offering alibis, offering to send him money. But then we must have this conversation, notably as we are here on the screen. What if Luigi Mangione looked like any three of us black men right now? How
Hmm.
much support would he be getting for going to shoot some rich, wealthy, white CEO? How many people are
Hmm.
comfortable with having that conversation? Because, yeah, absolutely, we can discuss the issues regarding the United States healthcare system. Talk about how a certain orange man trashes Obama left and right, but he's not foolish enough to want to remove it, fully knowing that so many of his MAGA um, really are, I don't want to say white trash or trailer trash, but that kind of stereotype of the poor and uneducated white person will vote MAGA against the system, but then is very happy to get Obamacare. We can discuss the impact of capitalism in the unequal redistribution of wealth, making someone like Brian Thomas, from what I read, his compensation package on a yearly basis being of $10 million, which is unimaginable for so many people who, however, we pay for the ticket to the favorite basketball game or football game or wrestling and wonder why they still remain poor. But ultimately, we are living in a society in which if Luigi Mangione was called uh, 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 Tremaine or Kofi, would he be celebrated as a hero by the same people who are not cheering for him? In the same way as we go back a couple of years ago, January 6, 2021, if instead of Donald Trump, it was Barack Obama who had basically fomented an insurrection in order to stay in power, how many followers would he have? Notably among those, overwhelmingly white people who are celebrating this murder. There is still a man who has been killed. There is still a system based on business that is not benefiting many of the Americans. I say many because also there are studies that came out saying 6 out of 10 Americans are satisfied with the health care coverage. So, what kind of society are we going into in terms of wanting justice but applauding the vigilante? And please don't get me wrong, I am not a hypocrite here. I've always said it is very telling that we live in a society in which, and I'm going to take the example right now, this young white man looks good by society standards. He's fit, from a wealthy family, etc., etc. But we live in a society in which a man like him, Luigi Mangione, is basically hailed as a hero, just as that white guy was choked to death, a black man in the subway in New York. Although he's an army veteran, he's a trained martial artist, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, aka he would have known that choking someone during 6 minutes will kill him. It's the same society in which there is a man by the name of Kyle Rittenhouse who shot black protesters, if I recall they were black, and he got found not guilty and made money off having killed innocent black people at a protest. Meanwhile, the parents of Trayvon Martin are crying on TV. They still haven't gotten justice, even though the kid was murdered with confirmation of police. And so many names I can give right here. As you know, Dr. Vibe, the coroner inquiry into the police murder of Abdirahman Abdi 8 years later, and the cop who killed him got found not guilty. You see what like I think anyone can see where I'm going with this. So these are the three elements. Yes, let's have the conversation on the unfair or the issues with the American and truly Canadian slash Western global system, notably regarding health coverage. Let us also have a conversation regarding the unequal wealth redistribution that basically leads many. A perfect example how this week CBC, I think it was Tuesday or Monday, had a footage regarding how, although we live in Canada and cancer, you get free cancer treatment, but it's expensive because you got to buy a lot of other things, and it jeopardizes your ability to sustain yourself financially. So, but when it comes to the very nature of the murder, what if Luigi Mangione was Tremaine or Kofi, looking like any of us on the screen? Where would he be right now?
I wish we had 3 hours because both of you have dropped a huge amount of knowledge bombs, and hopefully, Brian, you can come back and go deeper. But I want to ask Brian, what is your response to what is your response? What is your response to some people looking at this person who killed Brian Thomas as a hero?
Mixed feelings about that. I think it's dangerous. I think it's a slippery slope. I can understand I can understand the frustration of people who are taking an anti-elite, anti-corptocracy, anti-aristocracy stand. But I also say, and I've said this privately, and I've had conversations with friends about this, there's something about violent insurrection revolution that rubs me the wrong way. Let me tell you where I'm going with this. If you take Luigi's actions to its furthest conclusions, where does it end? If you're going to blame the CEO, if that's his mantra, What about the shareholders who hired him, or the board of directors who represent the shareholders who hired them? Then what about the shareholders? How many countries have we heard of that had an idealistic um, utopia vision, and they just start killing people who didn't fit it? They started out killing the bad guy, the corporate elite, the whatever, but then they realized those people have families. They have employees who are loyal to them. They have neighborhoods they come from that they were involved in. And guess what? All those people are now marked for death because they are on the wrong side of an issue, because they're loyal to people that the utopian government has a problem with. We see this happening over and over again throughout history. Pol Pot and Cuba and many other countries around the world where you have dictatorships are formed on this idea of, I know what's best. I'm more moral than those people and they deserve to die. It's a very dangerous and slippery slope. I would say to those people who are angry, let's find out as much information as we can. We don't know why all these claims are being denied. We just hear that they're being denied. Tell me the details. I want to know. If it's illegitimate, then that's something you need to have political action on this. But you also, there's another bigger issue here. So many people die because of a lack of care and injustice around the world. Where are all these people to stand up for the workers in many African countries that mine the materials that we use for our
They don't
cell
care.
phones, smartphones? They don't care about that.
They
So
don't
they
care.
care about their fellow citizens and their lack of health care. What about the billions of people that have no chance for any health care at all? Many of them, if not most of them, brown and black around the world. And the fact that those same people are exploited for the resources that we steal from their lands to give us the life we want. Again, where do you start? Are we all guilty, even those of us who are black, for being born or coming to a country where we win the lottery relative to the billions of people, 5+ billion, living less than $15 a week or a day even? Are we all guilty? Where do you draw the line? So I would say this is actually a disaster for many reasons. What if insurance companies wash their hands and say, we're not doing this? Then who provides the coverage? The whole reason, the whole purpose of insurance, the reason why an insurance company exists is because they want to make a profit off of the risk. If no one can profit off of the risk, you have no coverage. Then you have to run to the government to give it to you. And guess what? You're going to pay for it in the form of taxes like we do in Canada. People love to complain about taxes and they love to talk about the American system and how their taxes are lower. But look at what they have. They don't have a single payer system. And the majority of people voted for that. And I hear a lot of excuses. Well, the system is rigged, and we only have two options: Trump and Kamala. If we don't like the Democrats, corporate Democrats, whatnot, we got to go Trump if we want to disrupt the system. That's not true. You do have other options. People can vote third party, but they don't. They only vote by the options provided to them. But Canadian and American citizens can mobilize and create options by the millions if they choose to, but they don't. So again, we kind of reward the system that screws us in the end because we make lazy arguments as to why we need to continue to perpetuate it.
Cesar, you want to add it all?
No, there's really not much to add in terms of what next, because look at what Trump has done.
Well, I want
promise-
to interrupt too. I've not heard him say anything about this incident.
Well, think about it like this, and that's exactly where I was going. Trump basically got elected. I'm going to bring down inflation and this and that. What has he been saying lately? Well, I don't really know. It's really complicated.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it needs time. And, Oh, suddenly, like people are like, wait, time out. I voted for you for this. What are you saying now? You see what I mean? And so, what's next? Is this going to be a catalyst in, regarding health insurance reform? I mean, the conversation was already there before, but it's like a catalyst at a faster pace for change, aka before another CEO might get killed.
Hmm.
Some companies have been taking off the pictures and the names of the CEOs and, as Kevin was talking about, board members for safety, just as other companies have been increasing the cost of security for the CEOs and the C-suite executives. So what's next? Orange Man is not even in power yet, but clearly, as you can see from his picks for cabinet positions, we are seeing the anarchy that seems to be coming under the veil of a strange order, if we can call it that way. I personally think this is a terrible thing. It's not terrible because it's another person who got killed. Many of the fans of Luigi Mangione talked about it's terrible that this man who is a father and a husband got killed, but how many people has his company has killed by denying them insurance coverage? That's a philosophical debate that still doesn't change the fact that he was an innocent man. He was an innocent man. We can argue the business practices. We can go to the point of saying that some of his business practices may have deserved for him to be jailed, but he got murdered. He's a man. And for those who basically will justify to no end the support to this modern day so-called Robin Hood, Kevin made the good point. They don't care about those kids in Africa. The truth of the matter, they don't even care about the veteran, the homeless down the street. And what I know for sure, as a Pan-Africanist, and I repeat it, if Luigi Mangione was Tyrone or Kofi, they also wouldn't care. They would be condemning it. And that's the hypocrisy here. Because there's a lot of identity, a lot of dynamics at play. And I'm just looking at it like, just like January 6th. If he was a black man,
so you bring that up too. So I wonder what the people who were involved in January 6th what is their opinion of this gentleman who killed the CEO?
For many of them, they see him as a hero. They see him as fighting the deep state, the corrupt, the elite. Meanwhile, the following Trump and Musk, billionaires with influence, and it's the ridicule of people who are just looking for a leader, and the same type of people. I'm going to purposely make a blanket statement here, but 90 years ago, it was the same type of thing. Condemning the so-called corrupt elites, but who are you following? 90 years ago, Germany literally went from the most advanced society in terms of the living condition of Jewish people, the social progress, etc., to becoming the society that gave a man by the name of Adolf Hitler. Like it's, freedom and tyranny are on the same coin, and it doesn't take much for the flip. Democracy and oppression right now, since this year, Dr. Vi, remember how last year, in the beginning of the year, we were talking about all the elections that were to come this year. It's not democracy that won. In most of those countries, pretty much practically all of those countries, the parties of right-wing fascism, etc., they have won the elections, and it has created a world that is truly more oppressive than it was last year. Don't get me wrong, a lot of issues need to be addressed, a lot of reforms, and even right here in Canada next year, the federal elections that we're going to have, we're going to see that, but who will it impact? Who will it impact? When we know right here in Canada, the Conservatives reject the notion of systemic racism despite X amount of documented evidence and reports. So That's exactly where I see this going. It's just one further step into the fall of America in regards to the distrust to the distrust to the very nature of democracy to tackle the system. But it's not innocent. We go back to 2008, Barack Obama, world financial crisis. What did he do? He bailed the banks. He didn't bail the average American worker. They bailed the banks. The banks were, hey, normally in capitalism, if you fail, you're out. So,
It's kind of the nature of politics, right? Because parties, what they do is they betray their base to come to the middle to appease the other side's swing or soft voters. So you end up with an odd kind of you end up with odd bedfellows. Obama supported the bailouts, which was seen as more of a Wall Street support, which alienated his left wing flank. Harper in Canada, a conservative, supported the bailouts of the auto industry and lined up with Obama, which was a betrayal of the more libertarian right of center economic base, or elements of the conservative base that were more economically conservative, were betrayed by that. That goes against what I campaigned on in 2004. So this cuts both ways in terms of party. I think in some unfortunate ways, Luigi looks like he cuts party lines. I can see him, and I see this a lot in the comment section of a lot of these memes and articles. A lot of the people commenting don't sound like Trump supporters. They sound like they're projecting against Trump supporters. And some of the Trump supporters don't think that the supporters of Luigi are one of their own. There's a kind of misalignment happening where they're projecting onto this guy kind of left-wing radicalism, but it could be both groups. There could be members of Trump and left supporting this guy.
Careful. It is both groups because ultimately it's a meeting of extremists against the system. So polarized extremists against the system, because those Trump fans, notably MAGA, they supported Kyle Rittenhouse, and yet he committed murder. But at least he didn't commit murder on a white person.
I think the guy he shot was white, but that guy jumped in.
But Antifa, yeah, white, but Antifa.
Yeah, Antifa, yeah.
That's what I mean.
He jumped in on the thing, yeah.
Exactly. They're supporting this white guy in the subway who choked to death a black man. Don't get me wrong. Sure, black man was threatening mental health. He lost his mind on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I've been there in martial arts. I've been in fight. I'm a former Fight Club champion. You choke someone for 6 minutes, you as a trained person know you are killing the person. And yet he got scot-free from jail. If you switch the races, tell me what black person believes a black man who will choke to death a white person in front of everyone, in front of witnesses for 6 minutes, and he killed that white person, is not going to go to. Tell me what, and again, I repeat it, tell me what black person can believe that a Tyrone or Kofi can go shoot a white CEO, be caught, and be hailed as a hero online by so many white people. There's not a black person who's going to believe that.
It is hard to believe.
There is not a black person who's going to believe
I can see it being possible in this day and age because a lot of things are breaking color barriers. But still, your point is still valid that it's hard to believe that it could happen.
Well, we're going to ask you to stay on till the end. Okay, Kevin. And we got one more story because I know Cesar has a time crunch. So
sure.
Cesar wanted to share about this story. 2 high schoolers found an impossible proof for a 2,000-year-old math rule, then discovered 9 more. So Cesar, what lens do you want to bring on this story?
Well, Dr. Vab, if you don't mind showing the links for the first 2 links that I sent you, if you don't mind.
I will do my best, but comment on the story.
Well, basically, I wanted to bring forth Uh, the fact of addressing how, so here we have some of our young sisters, Nikia and Calcia. I apologize to the families if I may have missed their names. But basically, here, congratulations to these young queens. Uh, I was not exactly a champion at mathematics, let's be honest, but I was in the 60s and 70s, so that's not too bad, most people would say. But no, this is genius level. Congratulations to our young sisters. It's important as we are having, how can I put it? We need to show those young, notably young, yes, young girls, but also young black boys, young black women, young black men, role models and examples of success, of talent, of achievements, positive achievements, achievements that are not always in the entertainment, sports, music, whatever field. And unfortunately, it is to me a reminder, just as the story of uh, the young sister from Nova Scotia who basically found a pill distributor inspired by the the Alzheimer diagnostic of a family member. We need to bring forward more positive Black stories of achievement, academic achievement, uh, outside of entertainment, because at the same time we're talking about this over the weekend, of 2024, the first contestant over 30, aka the oldest contestant, is a black woman from Martinique, if I recall. Male beauty pageant, Mr. I don't know if it's Mr. Universe or whatever they call Mr. Because normally, normally a Mr. Universe, that's a bodybuilding competition, but there is a Nigerian man who has become either the first black man or the first African to win Mr. International. That's what it's called. To win that competition. And unfortunately, in our black community, those beauty pageants winners will be more talked about and more heralded than our young children who are succeeding and helping to change the world. When I read about these two teenage black females solving these mathematics problems, it reminds me of our three sisters in that movie about the NASA and the space rockets.
Yes. I can't
Hidden.
remember the name off the top of my head though.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing, why is that important also? I have to say it. There's a new world chess champion. He's the youngest ever world chess champion.
Hidden Figures is a movie.
Hidden Figures. I was going to say Hidden Treasures. It applies. But there's a new world chess champion. He's Indian and he's being celebrated notably by people like Elon Musk. New world chess champion, youngest ever, celebrated by people such as Elon Musk. Celebrities celebrating these two young girls who are solving these math problems that the experts in mathematics are so amazed about. I mean, Elon Musk may be African, like he likes to joke, he's a real African American, but truthfully, where are our black celebrities to celebrate these two young sisters? They
Kevin,
have an entire community behind them.
Kevin, anything you want to add on to what Cesar says, and we'll close it out for the day.
I agree that it's a good thing whenever you have young black children that are high achievers be recognized because it helps shatter the stereotype or the expectation that we're only good for entertainment and sports. As much as I love entertainment and sports, I think that it's also good to have that balance. And that balance means, okay, well, we also have Black people all over the world doing many, many things academically, scientifically, and doing things in business. It's not just rapping and singing and dancing.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for today's conversation. First of all, Kevin, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to share with us. Yeah, the seat is always open. I always like to.
Thank you.
Would love to have you on more often if you're out to it, because and have some fun with Cesar. I like watch you two knock heads once in a while and agree once in a while. Cesar, always a pleasure to have you on. What is going up next for you, Cesar? Because you're always on the go.
Well, I'm presenting tomorrow. The usual, presenting on EDI tomorrow to board members, initiating them to the notion of EDI and the running of boards. And I'm also looking at a few days of vacation. I don't like that.
You take vacation?
I know. I am the realities of a brother who now has a family. And it's good for you. So I'm not here telling people don't do it, but truly, some vacation and other great things that are coming that I will tell you right after.
Okay. Well, want to, as we wrap up here, a few things. And I want to say, first of all, thanks everyone for watching live or on the replay. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also follow the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, feel free to email me at dr.vibe@thedr.com. And also, if you want to get a hold of Cesar, email address president@rootsandculture.com. President@rootsandculture.com. I did say that. Facebook, Cesar Remy Emery. And if you want to catch replays of this epic conversation, check it out on the Dr. Vibe Show on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and the website address www.thedr.com. And also, if you want to get a hold of me, I said the website. I've said YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also Instagram at thedr.com, X/Twitter, which I'm not on much anymore, and I'm going to get off for a number of reasons, at drvibeshow, and email address dr.vibe@thedr.com. So as always, we finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourselves grace. And we'll chat soon. Be well. Keep the faith. And as always, I just heard something from an elder the other day. He said, if you don't make money, make history. Bye.